welcome back to Cityline. With me is an individual that, of course, everybody knows, and I would drop a lot of my activities to sit and have coffee with this person because he never stands still. And I'm talking about Mark Flynn. Mark Flynn is the event lead, and he's here to talk about Relay for Life Tacoma. Mark, hello, my dear. How are you?
I am well, Amanda. Thank you for having me.
Good. And I have to tell the world, you just celebrated your 60th birthday. So happy birthday from TV Tacoma.
Thank you. And I'm still celebrating.
Well, there we go. Keep going. You know what? Tomorrow's promised to no one.
Exactly.
Is true. So, Mark, for people who don't know you or know anything about your extended family, can you explain to us how did you get involved in Relay?
Well, my mom was instrumental in growing this event that Dr. Klatt started in 1985. And so we would help her with taking things down to Stadium Bowl the first years. Then she formed a Flynn family team in the mid-90s, and we've been doing that so 26, 27 years. And I joined the committee 4 or 5 years ago and have been the event lead since then.
Wow. You mentioned just so smoothly and so nonchalantly about your mother, Pat Flynn, who, of course, I have to tell is the mother of Relay. And my gosh, you look so much like her. It makes my heart feel good. So based upon the fact that your mother was Pat Flynn, and she was the mother of Relay to Gordy Platt, who is the father of Relay. How did cancer impact your life? I mean, you've got your mom who's running the Relay, but there's got to be more than that.
Well, actually, there is. There's been a couple cancer scares in the family, but for the most part, Pat was a community organizer and just involved in everything. We don't have time to list them all, but Dr. Klatt asked her. She was connected, and she was super good at this, and it's just, cancer touches every one of us, every one of us, and so it's a great cause to be a part of, and it's impacted my life. I've lost a lot of friends over the years, but at our house, Relay wasn't an option. You're in.
I love that. I say we as a community, when we lost your mom, or when your mom transitioned, it was a huge loss. It was a spiritual breath that had been taken out of our community. And I have imagined that it would be so painful for you to stay in Relay, even though you've done it all your life, that you may just need to take a step back and grieve. But you haven't done that. You stayed in. So, Mark, the question is, what's been the biggest motivation for you to stay involved since your mom is no longer with us?
Well, having known Gordy and, of course, Pat, I'm really familiar with the vision, and I want to continue Pat's legacy and be the voice of the volunteers. I want to follow this through till we find a cure. So it's being Pat's son there are goods and bads. I'm constantly reminded of the good, and then everywhere I go, it's like, we really miss your mom. Here we go.
Yep. Yeah. And I can see that, because there's not going to be a time when someone doesn't look at you and think about your beloved mother. Mark, this is a strange time. We're still in COVID-19. We're under restrictions right now. And perhaps for people who have never been to the birthplace of Relay for Life, when it's actually on the track, would you tell us or give them just an idea of what it's supposed to look like?
Well, typically in Tacoma, we still do a 24-hour event, which is not the case in all communities. It doesn't make sense when it's 120 degrees out in Arizona. So we typically gather on a Friday at 6 p.m. at Mount Tacoma High School, and people bring their tents. It's like camping, and it's really more of a celebration. A lot of our fundraising takes place prior to the event, but we have activities, we have games, we have food, and it's really just, it's like a giant family reunion, and people are walking around the track in honor of those that have lost their life, or those that are still battling cancer. Cancer never sleeps. So we stay up all night and walk the track, and it's really a gratifying experience.
Yeah, and I have to add just to it because the survivor walk is just uh, it is enough to make you break down and cry out of
It is.
joy, but also out of grief. And the caring for the caregivers talk, the luminaria where you light up the stadium. I mean, it is. I can close my eyes and I can still see it. It stays with me all those years. So that begs the question of what does the relay look like for this year and when is it?
Well, we're going to do a virtual Relay for Life, and it's May 21st at 7 p.m. You can view it at Relay for Life of Tacoma's Facebook page, and we'll also mirror it on YouTube. And it'll be an hour plus of all kinds of things, and with some fundraising opportunities. And hopefully next year we'll be back live. And we're also going to do Gig Harbor's having on September 18th a Gig Harbor Music Against Cancer, which is their relay event, and that'll be I don't want to say Uptown Center because I don't know for sure. It's on their Facebook page. We're doing something out in Buckley at the Firehouse Pub. We're doing a fundraiser out there, and we'll do a lot of other fundraising over the summer. Probably a dog event and with dogs, and possibly some sort of drive-through Luminaria Survivor event in September. But that's so far out, we're not committed until we have a lot more COVID behind us.
Yeah, it truly is one day at a time with science, isn't it, Mark? When we think about COVID-19, you know, people who are survivors and they're still fighting that good fight, they have a different view of COVID-19 when you're fighting cancer. And can you describe to us how COVID-19 pandemic has affected just the American Cancer Society as a whole?
Absolutely. The American Cancer Society, their fundraising left them with a $200 million deficit this year. So it's a big deal. They had to postpone what's the word I'm looking for? Temporarily suspend the Road to Recovery program, which is where volunteers drive patients to their treatment. They had to suspend their Hope Lodge program, which if you live more than 3 hours from treatment, you can stay there for free. And we also have a partnership with hotels where you can find reduced cost to stay there, and all that's been suspended for now. Research went down by 50%, and it's really affected patients and survivors. Screening tests through last spring were down 87%. People aren't seeing treatment because of COVID. It's statistic. The ACS estimates that there'll be about 10,000 new cancer cases this year that were preventable because of COVID and the people's reluctance to go out and be diagnosed or treated. It's a big deal.
It is a huge deal. I mean, and you bring up such an excellent point that as we are distancing and keeping our gatherings small, and hopefully everybody's getting vaccinated if they, as they can, we are also isolating ourselves from other health care as well. And that, you've said it so beautifully. Somebody's not feeling good. Maybe they already had cancer, it was in remission. Maybe this is their first time, but they're terrified of going into a doctor. They want to do it through Zoom, but through Zoom, you can't feel my lymph nodes. No. There are things that doesn't happen. So those cancer screenings don't happen, do they, Mark?
They're not happening. It's a huge deal.
Even more reason why we have to get out there and raise money. Let's talk about, you mentioned that you're going out to some like Buckley and the Gig Harbor. Are those things that you normally do, or are you spreading yourself out to help others because of the pandemic? Well,
due to the pandemic and ACS has had a lot of cutbacks in staff, and so some of the regional relays have either been sunsetted or merged. And so what we've done is Buckley has come to join us, and so is Gig Harbor, but they're maintaining autonomy. Like Gig Harbor's having their own giant party. It's going to be amazing. And but the staff partners are kind of shuffled around so that they're all condensed right here. And so it's representative of Pierce County. So I love being a part of all of it. We have great people in all these communities, and it's really been fun to get to know them and spread our wings.
Yeah. So, Mark, for somebody who is just newly diagnosed with cancer, or somebody who cancer is back, what advice do you have for them?
Well, if you haven't seen treatment, you need to go now at whatever cost. And if you can't get a ride, I'll drive you. I know we're not supposed to do that, but you need to get treated. And the sooner you get diagnosed, the better off your treatment options are, or the more the better your treatment options are. Pardon me.
Well, it's true, because time is everything when it comes to cancer and early diagnosis. The stats on that are just incredible to look at. You know, catching cancer at stage 1, and you know what I'm going to say, versus stage 4. Mark will give you a ride, although we're not going to give out his telephone number, but you can get a hold of him on Facebook. Mark, for people who every year support the Relay for Life and support the American Cancer Society, how do they go about being a part of the virtual relay this year?
Well, you can go to tacomarelay.org, and you can fundraise right from our Facebook page, where you can go to tacomarelay.org. tacomarelay.org is our webpage. You can go there and you can join a team, you can support a team, or you can just make a donation. If you want to watch the virtual relay, you go to Tacoma Relay's Facebook page, and Friday night, the 21st of May, and you can join us there.
I love that. Mark, as always, it's wonderful, and it's intimate, and it's tender to spend time with you. And I thank you so much, because there are some things that the pandemic has taken away, but it hasn't taken away your amazing spirit. So I wish you a great virtual relay. And my wish is next year I get to come find you and actually give you a hug.
Looking forward to it, Amanda. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, my dear, and enjoy the rest of your birthday celebration.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well, that wraps up another great segment of Cityline. It is always a pleasure and a privilege to be zooming into your home from my kitchen. And we've given you some really wonderful things to think about and to be involved with this past hour. We are still in the middle of the pandemic, as Mark and I were just saying. So you know what I'm going to say, so say it with me. Please continue to wear your mask. Keep yourself socially distanced. Keep yourself in small approved gatherings. And above all, get yourself vaccinated. And when you come back, as always, I'll be waiting for you right here at Cityline. Take care.
Tacoma, that's my home, yeah. Tacoma, that's my home. Oh, you're from Seattle. Oh, you're from LA. Oh, you're from Chicago, but Tacoma's where you'll stay. Oh, you're from Seattle. Oh, you're from LA. Oh, you're from Chicago, but Tacoma's where you'll stay, yeah. Tacoma, that's my home.